All right, we're here with Melanie of Glaze Craft Windows. We're cracking a few jokes here to get us warmed up. What we want to do is talk about linseed oil paint. Um, Linseed oil paint has really come on strong over the last few years, and a lot more historic home restoration specialists and window professionals have begun to use linseed oil paint. Uh, One of the cool things, if you are worried about microplastics in the environment, is linseed oil produces or adds no extra microplastics into the environment, which is a really cool fact. Additionally, it's was more the historically used paint on a lot of the older buildings. So that's what they originally would use, right? Um, Really, it was, I guess, refined in Scandinavia. A lot of the suppliers are either Danish or Swedish, and it's a paint that's been used there for many years, centuries or a century at least. So yeah, and I was also used in Colonial America, right? Yeah, so it's pretty cool the history of the linseed oil paint, and it's finally coming back into use. We finally have more suppliers now, and so we want to go ahead and talk about it. And Melanie, you're truly an artisanal window restoration specialist. Like you do it preservation quality all the way. And that's one of the main reasons you're using linseed oil paint as well. Also, you've showed me some tricks that make it really easy to use. So we just kind of want to introduce it here and talk about what she uses. Again, there are a couple suppliers. Melanie has been using linseed oil paint produced by Brouns Company, but there are a couple suppliers out there. So I'm just gonna zoom in here. There's a cool book, linseed paint and oil. Then we got Brouns Company. We got some linseed oil paint primer. You got different colors. You got some samples, and of course you got these really cool paint brushes. I think this is a Swedish brush. Looks like a Harry Potter wand. It's pretty neat. Look at the details on this. It's pretty amazing. I love that refinement. So yeah, I've kind of given a little breakdown here. And if you just want to discuss it real quick and go over kind of what is in front of us, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the reason I use linseed paint is because it's been used for centuries, primarily in Europe and North America, and it has preserved our timber just remarkably well. As you were saying, there's a lot of benefits just environmentally from using this. It's very low in VOCs, so the volatile organic compounds that we're worried about in paints. So this is not dangerous to breathe in or to work with. It also doesn't, there's no plastics in this, so we're not contributing to microplastics in the ocean, which the paint industry apparently contributes well over 58% of the microplastics in the ocean. So I have a real strong desire to not continue to contribute to that myself in my projects. Up until paint was switched to World War II is when we really saw a big change to acrylic and latex paints, and not coincidentally, that is when we started to have major rot issues with our wood windows and our wood doors, because those types of paints trap water underneath. They're a surface coating. The benefit of linseed paint is that it goes deep into the wood and gives you a lot of protection along the way. And I use a system with priming system and then paint to produce something that looks like a high gloss finish, and it'll last, never has to be repainted. Actually, you can, some owners would like to. After about 10 or 15 years, you may see that the gloss starts to break down and you get more of a chalky finish, but all you have to do to renew that is to rub on some new boiled linseed oil every year ideally, but if you're doing it every few years, you should definitely see the benefit. And once it is time to paint, let's say you do want to get a truly gloss finish back, or perhaps the color has faded a bit, then all you need to do is clean it up, one more coat of linseed oil, and you're ready to go. You never have to scrape back again.
Very cool. Very cool. And the paint that we're often scraping back, that was a leaded paint used primarily in the teens, 20s, 30s of the 1900s. So
yeah, so the difference between historic paint, when people think of linseed oil paint in historic houses, they worry about lead. And that was because they used to add lead as a hardening factor. It also helped with mold and mildew. Now, in modern day linseed paints, that's replaced with something called zinc oxide, which has about 85% of the same result, which I think is a remarkable success considering what it can do as far as keeping that mold and mildew down.
Yeah, so especially if you're in a southern climate, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Linseed paint acts a lot like, well, I've heard linseed oil suppliers call it like Gore-Tex. So it's not breathable. But if water does get into the wood and needs to get out behind the paint, it will release that paint. But it's also has a tight enough structure that water doesn't generally get in.
And to explain Gore-Tex for someone who might know, so basically Gore-Tex prevents water from outside getting in, but it allows water vapor from inside to escape. It's pretty neat material. So, all right, cool. And again, there's several online suppliers. You like Brouns Company. They're one of probably 4 or 5 suppliers out there, and you really like their products. So
yeah, the owner of Brouns Co has written the authoritative text on the history of linseed paint and how to apply it, and I recommend that really highly.
Very cool. And now, real quick, hiding behind this book is also some glaze. So they also make glaze. We'll do another short video on glaze, but I just wanted to show you that.
Yeah,
in fact, there's a little chunk stuck to the bottom of it.
It's also made with linseed oil.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Some high quality chalk.
All right, cool. Well, thanks. And we're going to talk about in the next video primer, and then the paint, and then how you preserve the paint brushes. And then we'll do a quick one on the putty as well. Thanks.